JUUL'S was once one of the most valuable startups in the world, valued in 2018 at $38 billion. But most of that has gone up in smoke. In 2020, Altria, which holds a 35% stake in the company, said JUUL is now worth less than $5 billion.
JUUL's been a fascinating story to cover because it rose and fell so quickly. It really turned the tobacco industry upside down overnight.
JUUL is fighting for its life, laying off in the past year around 3/4 of its employees. It faces hundreds of lawsuits alleging the company marketed its products to teens.
If you think you can come into this county and you can harm our youth and we're not going to fight you back, you're wrong.
Its product's popularity with young people has become the liability that's a threat to the company's viability. In 2015, JUUL introduced a new vaporizer. The company was founded by Stanford University graduate students Adam Bowen and James Monsees.
Adam and I smoked. We tried to quit and we failed. For us, giving up smoking required an alternative which did not exist at the time. We founded JUUL'S to invent one.
Adam Bowen and James Monsees developed a product that was unlike any e-cigarette that came before it. It had a cool, sleek, slim design that looked like a USB flash drive. And they were going for an aesthetic like an Apple product. They wanted to have something that was high-tech, cool, that people would want to be seen holding. The secret sauce was also what was inside it. It contained a nicotine salt solution that delivered a really powerful punch of nicotine, but without the throat harshness that you might otherwise expect from an e-cigarette at the time.
In 2016, legacy tobacco firms with their similar-looking products led the pack in e-cigarette sales. That year, JUUL sold 2.2 million devices. It was still a small player, but in 2017, that changed. JUUL's sales numbers soared that year, increasing nearly 8-fold.
It was available in more and more stores, many convenience stores and gas stations, so that helped propel its growth. And JUUL also marketed it. They gave JUUL packages to celebrities for as little as $1 to try to get them to use it and be seen using it in the hopes that celebrities and other social media influencers would help spread the word.
As JUUL's own data would later disclose, some of the customers its product was attracting had never smoked cigarettes before. By the end of 2018, JUUL'S had captured 68% of the $1.9 billion US e-cigarette market. Prominent investors took notice. A fundraising round that summer brought the startup's value to about $16 billion. But 2018 was also the year JUUL found itself in the crosshairs of regulators. The Food and Drug Administration opened an investigation into JUUL after parents and school administrators sounded the alarm about youth vaping. After 2 decades of declining teen cigarette smoking, a 2018 survey revealed that the share of high schoolers who were vaping had increased significantly.
When the regulator in charge of the e-cigarette industry targets your company, that's a big deal. And JUUL took a series of steps that year to try to show that they were taking the problem seriously. The first thing they did was they said that they would work with retailers to ensure that at the point of sale, kids weren't getting access to JUUL and other e-cigarettes.
But the FDA wasn't satisfied. It conducted an inspection at the company's headquarters, and the agency threatened to take flavored e-cigarettes off the market entirely because they were attracting underage users.
JUUL responded by voluntarily pulling most of their sweet and fruity flavors out of brick and mortar retail stores. So those flavors included mango, cucumber, and creme brulee, for example. JUUL also suspended its social media marketing in the US.
Despite all this, JUUL's valuation soared to $38 billion when Altria, the maker of Marlboro, bought a significant minority stake in the company.
Altria wanted to get a piece of the growing e-cigarette market, and Altria's own e-cigarette products were not that successful.
Altria got in at an inauspicious moment. After making the nearly $13 billion investment in JUUL, things began to unwind. Rite, the third largest U.S. pharmacy chain, announced it would stop selling e-cigarettes in its stores. In September 2019, JUUL's CEO Kevin Burns stepped down. He was replaced by Altria executive Casey Crosthwaite. That same month, in a blow to the company's overseas ambitions, China, the world's biggest tobacco market, halted JUUL'S sales just days after its launch there. And in the US, governors called for immediate bans on all flavored e-cigarettes.
Common sense says if you don't know what you are smoking, don't smoke it.
At the same time, the entire nicotine vaping industry faced a full-blown PR crisis.
New vaping numbers. Illnesses top 1,000 with deaths on the rise.
Some patients actually suffered toxic chemical burns to their lungs and airways as if being exposed to a chemical spill.
After hospitals throughout the country linked at least 8 deaths to vaping, U.S. health officials urged Americans to stop using any and all e-cigarette products while authorities investigated the cause. The illnesses were eventually linked to marijuana vaping devices containing vitamin E oil, not to e-cigarettes like JUUL. But the damage to vaping's image continued to be felt, and the tsunami of bad news for JUUL continued. JUUL's new CEO halted most U.S. advertising, then stopped all U.S. sales of JUUL's sweet and fruity flavors. State attorneys general across the country sued JUUL for deceptive marketing of its products.
JUUL basically took a page from Big Tobacco's playbook by marketing its products in a manner that was appealing to underage youth.
In court filings, experts alleged that even though the models JUUL used in its 2015 promotional materials were in their 20s, they appeared in poses and behaviors more characteristic of underage teens than mature adults. Crossweight was grilled by lawmakers for the marketing methods JUUL employed before he arrived.
We are focused on combating underage access because I know it puts it all at risk if we don't make progress here.
Sir, how do I trust what you say?
My actions so far since I've joined support our recognition that more needed to be done.
More done with fewer people. Amid a sharp drop in sales in the fall of 2020, JUUL continued to shrink its workforce down to around 1,000 from its high of just over 4,000 and pulled out of most overseas markets. And Altria wrote down the value of its stake in JUUL by around $11 billion.
Everything hinges on an FDA review that will determine whether or not JUUL's products can stay on the market or whether they have to come off. It presented a real potential for a public health benefit. Getting adult cigarette smokers off of cigarettes, which kill 480,000 people a year, offered a lot of promise. It was interesting to investors. It was compelling to public health experts. But at the same time, JUUL presented an incredible risk.
Federal data now show that youth vaping is decreasing. The CEO said JUUL is now focused on its founding principle to help smokers move away from cigarettes, but that JUUL needs to prove it can be trusted. If it can do that, Crossweight said, JUUL has a lot of potential in the long term, but that will be an uphill battle.